no matter where you go in Kling to create, the screen is always divided into two main sections. You have the workspace on the left, where you prompt and you run your creations, and then the history panel at the right side, where you can see everything that you've created. Let's take a look at that. I will go to the image generator. I'm going to click on image, and this is what you get back. Notice that if you hover on the division, you can make it smaller or you can make it bigger. Since this is a completely new account, I have no creations. And I'm going to create something right now. I will go to the prompt. I'm going to say a 1980s woman walking through a New York City street. Something very simple. We don't need to overcomplicate things with prompts. At the bottom, you just run your generations. I'm going to go here and select one single output. Now, we will talk about this in a couple of minutes. I'm going to go here and click on generate. Once you start a task, it will say at the very top, task submitted, and on the history, you will see that task, getting created. Once a generation is complete, it will appear in the right side panel. If I wanted to run it again, notice that it remembers or keeps the prompt that you used. So I could go at the very bottom and maybe change the ratio for something else. I'm going to select 16:9, and then I'm going to create a new image. Just like that, you will see it right here. And notice that you have a timeline here. So this is where you will see all the different creations. And you can even scroll or click to select the different creations. Okay, so once we get it, we can see it's a pretty cool image. Now, think of this as your creative timeline. You can scroll through all your creations. Each entry or each generation will tell you exactly what you used. At the very top, you have what it is, which could be an image, video, or audio, and then you have the type of the old model that you used, the prompt that you used to create this image. I'm going to delete the prompt. There we go. So kaboom, it's gone. At the right side, you have two options. You have a pencil, which is the edit, and then a rerun. Now, you might think that the pencil is something that you click and it will take you to the editor of the image, but no, this is just not the icon. When you click on the pencil, Kling will automatically load the prompt and the settings back in the workspace. For example, I have nothing on the prompt. If I click on the edit, notice that it will copy the job or the image ID, and then it will put it right here on the prompt. But let's say that if I go to Omni 1, and then I click on the pencil, it will do the same thing, but take me back to the text to image, which is what I used to create this generation. So it's a way to take you back to the place where you made that generation so you can maybe extend the prompt or just run it again. Still, if you don't care about taking the prompt into the actual text box, what you can do is click on rerun. It says this action will consume 1 credit. And this is because if you click that rerun, it will create a new variation by using the same prompt and the same model. So yeah, you just rerun the prompt just to get a different variation. And once we get back, notice that the image, it's pretty much the same, but of course we have a different subject and a different background. Still, if you want to manually copy the prompt, you can go right here, just copy, and then you can go to maybe right here and then paste it. If you hover on the image, you have a lot more options. You have the download, so you can click to download the image without a watermark. If, of course, you have a paid account, then you can like or dislike. If you like it, it will, of course, ask you why you liked it. And if you dislike it, you can tell Kling why you disliked this generation. And this is a good way to let Kling know why maybe your generation was a bad generation. Let's say that you prompt for something very specific and you're not getting it. Well, click the dislike and let Kling know why. Now then you have the fabs. If I click on the star, this image will be added to the fabs. At the very top, notice that you have the image, which means that you can filter by image. Then you can filter the timeline by videos. I have no videos. And then you can filter by audio. I have no audios right now. And if I click on fabs, notice I'm not getting anything. And this is because you need to select the right category. If I go to all, it will show me everything on my creations that I have on favorites. And I know all of this, it's a little bit simple and just basic, but we are just starting and this is a full course, so I need to go through every single part. Then you have this icon, and this part is a little bit confusing. You will find a lot of different icons on Kling that can be a little bit confusing or just misleading. If you see this icon, you could assume that this is maybe the share or send to maybe a friend or maybe just share with some other user. Well, it's not. This is this submit. When you click right here, what you can do is to take this image and you can publish on the Kling social network, which is what you see on the Explorer. If you want to share this creation with the rest of the users on Kling, you just go to the submit and you submit your work. In a few minutes, when we really know how to create images and how to create something, we will get back to the submit. Then if I hover again, you have more options at the very bottom of the image. And these are very important options. Now, these options only appear on images. On other generation like videos, you get other options. You don't get the same options you get at the bottom. If I go to the upscale, this will create an upscaled version of the same image. And of course, this costs credits. And it will be pretty much the same image, but upscaled or just, enhanced. I'm going to run it right now so we can see how it looks. Once we get it back, we can see that it's pretty much the same image. And yeah, it is the same image, but just with higher definition, let's say. Now, we don't see a lot of difference right here, but when you download this generation and then you see it on big, you expand it, you will really notice the difference. Still, let me give you an advice. Do not try to upscale every image that you will create. And as you'll learn, you will create a lot of images. If you upscale, it will cost you 3 credits instead of 1. And the credits will go down really, really fast. So only upscale the images that you really need to use outside of Kling, or maybe the images that you will use on the videos. If I keep going, you have the go to O1 to create. This will use this image on Omni 1 so we can create a video. Notice that we have it as a reference. Then if I go back again, you have generate video. This means that it will do the same thing. It will take this image as a reference and it will take it to the image to video so we can use it as a first frame. Of course, we will talk about all the different video creation methods. If I keep going, you will see something that says vary. When you run the vary, it will cost 2 credits. If you don't know what vary is, it will create a variation of the same image with tiny little changes maybe in the back, or maybe a tiny variation on the pose of the subject. Just to show you, I'm going to run one of this. Let's see what we get back. Once we get it, notice that you have 2 different images. And this is why the vary costs 2 credits. It will give you back 2 different variations. And as you can see, the composition in most of the image is pretty much the same as the original image, but something else is changing. Maybe a car, maybe the buildings at the background, or maybe a sign. And notice that on this one, the subject, it's not using sunglasses. You use the vary if you really like an image and you want to get different variations of that same image, and then you just choose the one you like the most. Then if we keep going with the options that we have the inpaint, expand, and remove. And these ones are ways to edit the image. We will talk about them in a minute. These tools are fundamental. Last but not least, you have the set as reference. If I click on this one, it will take us to the image reference, and then we can see we are using the same image to, of course, create something else. We will talk about the image reference in a minute. So think of this option as a way of go to Omni 1 to create. We take this image. If I click on this option, we take this image and we use it as a reference to create something else. If you click on an asset, you will be getting the full size window. Then you have the same options we discussed a few minutes ago, and you can see also the prompt and whatever is that you're using on this generation. But now you get something else. You have the 3 dots. You can report this image to Kling, and you can delete it right here. You can completely delete it from your assets. If you delete it, there's no going back. You don't have a trash type of place on Kling where you can just delete and everything will be on trash. If you delete it, it's gone forever. And then at the bottom, we can see the same options that we discussed a minute ago. One thing that you can do right here is to go at the top left-hand corner and you can see the name of the creation. By default, Kling will assign a very weird type of name, but you can click on the edit and just change it to, I don't know, something else like Mary. And if I press enter, and that's it. If you get out this creation, it's called Mary. This is important only if you want to use the assets to filter the different creations by name. Now, one more thing, I'm going to go back to this view. When you start creating images and videos, this timeline that you see right here will grow exponentially. And to find something, you will need to scroll up and down just to find all your creations, which is, let's say, not a very good workflow. Now, you can keep this type of view, but at the very top, you have a different option, which is going to be the unified view. When you get it, notice it's a little bit different from the other one. So this allows you to see 3 times as many assets at once than the other view. If you ask me, I much prefer this view because, it's just bigger and it's just better in this case. On this, it's just too small. But when you have a lot of creations and you need to scroll down and scroll up, you can go to the unified view and just find it a lot easier.